Shabbat Shalom somewhere in the world. Can you hear the outside noise that I have to deal with? It gets better. See, my choice of words. The window's closed and it gets much better. So excuse the background noise. I want to come at you with a very important video. That's why I chose to do it on Zoom and not YouTube, because YouTube doesn't stream very well. I hope you have, besides the sirens, I hope you don't have a whole lot of trouble hearing me. Will you give me 1 second? See if that's right around the corner, and I can tell you how long you're going to be dealing with it. Okay. I have no idea. So you get the soft fro today versus the nappy braids. I don't know how it could, why it looks so nappy when my hair is not nappy, obviously, but I'm not trying to be cute, although this makes me look 50 years old. I'm going to have to get in my uniform soon. Boom. Okay, so let's start from the title of this video. It's called "What Third? The Third I Would Keep." Praise Yah. Prayer requests. Yah willing. They won't have all that in the title, but that's what I'm talking about. You see how I'm using Yah's name? I used to say I didn't talk about him or two. But it's easy. It rolls off my tongue. That's all I wanted, to make sure that it rolls off my tongue. So it's called "What the Third I Would Keep." Before I go into that, I want to preview or preface this video with a poem, song lyrics that I dedicated to Rex. And I'm going to tell you what happened. On May 27th, I was lounging, and I looked up at the clock, and it was 1 p.m. And I had an option of continuing to lounge or to get up. And something in me says, get up and call Rex, because his birthday I knew his birthday was this week, but I didn't remember verbatim what date it was, because his birthday is always around Memorial Day. And when we are in cahoots, or were in cahoots, or when I was talking to him on a regular basis, he would tell me the day that week of his birthday. So this year I had to guess. But I told him the previous week or last week that I would call him. And I said, I'll call you next week. What time is good? What time is good for you? So you will pick up the phone and we can talk. And he said early afternoon. So 27th, 1 p.m., he picked up the phone. And we talked a little bit. He said he was going to call me back. It turns out he did call me back at 7 p.m. I was probably relaxing again. That means laying down, sleeping, and lazy. I missed his call. But that evening, I had a dream about Rex. And you know how this year, 2020, I've dreamt about everybody I've known in my life, just about. And if you missed the boat, it's okay. Don't feel bad. I'm done having these dreams. Okay? Don't need no more, please. You didn't make the first movie and the sequel, then you don't, please. It's okay. Don't feel bad. But I only had a dream about Rex. And this one actually made sense. It was me and him and a young man, white man, blonde man, young man. I don't know how age Rex and I would have been, but we were in a new apartment. Not like it was just built, but it was new to us. And some of the exchanges between me and Rex were familial and would have been based on the past, because Rex has been my best friend since 13. We took a break in our 20s, came back together after my mother died. He was a different person. Kind of asked myself, why did we even, why I should have just never reached out to him. But I was 30-something years old. My mom got sick, getting ready to turn 33 when I reached out to Rex. I think she wanted to say goodbye to him or something like that. And we stopped talking in our 20s, and he started doing his own thing. When we came together, he was, he hadn't improved or gotten better. But what we had in common, neither had I, obviously, but we had in common was music. And that was not able to sustain. But me and Rex have gone through a lot. We went through coming out of the closet together. I promoted him when we were 13 years old at Seattle Prep, and he would subsequently relate to me when I felt queer. He's been queerer and more consistently queer than me. But he was my gay buddy. He was my drug buddy before the drugs got serious. He introduced me to the drug buddy once the drugs got serious. Ira. He's who introduced me to Ira. And music, just a lot of music. But I can't spend all day explaining what was important about me and Rex's friendship. But I can describe it through these lyrics, and I'm gonna let you hear a little bit of the song, and I'll keep the song on in the background for a second. So after I had that dream about him the night after his birthday, it was time for me to wake up and use the bathroom. So when you're in between sleep and awake, what is that called? Is that called alpha? It's some, and that's a guess. When you're taking your SAT, where they say guess, it's better to guess or better to not guess, whatever, I'm just guessing. But it's when you're in between being asleep and awake. When I was getting ready to wake up, because I needed to use the bathroom, by the grace of God, I can still control my bladder. Amen. This song crossed my mind. The song is called Another Bridge. It's by Everything But the Girl. I'm flattered and honored that these people are still alive, because it makes me feel young. Makes me feel old, makes me feel young. This song came out in 1984. It was on heavy rotation. I just say 1985, because that's when I was really deep listening to KJet, my dad's house in Bellevue. And when this song came on, I hated to hear it, because it was so melancholy, and it really messed up the alternative rock and what I call dance music, white dance music, that I was really vibing with. And you'll get my top 20 songs from 1985 at a later date. Let's keep this one focused. I guess it would fit this video. So here's the lyrics, and I'll play a little bit of song for 1 second. Okay. The lyrics. So these are the lyrics I dedicate to my ex-best friend, and best friend in regards to sustained years. Nikki was my best friend in regards to my best friend in 6th grade. We didn't stop talking until after my injury, probably 2016. I was on the phone talking to her after Ed attacked me in 2014. How much time we spent together, it stopped around, I haven't spent a lot of time in her house on Martin Luther King Way. She bought that house when she was in her 20s, I believe. I've been there 3 or 4 times, maybe 5 or 6. Different lifestyles, but she's always been in my life. So I would say running buddies. Rex is my longest running buddy. Aaron, best friend in 7th grade. Love her to death. Our time apart had nothing to do. As far as I remember, she might tell you something else. She hasn't told me. It was not burnt bridge, hard feelings, incidents. Just lost contact. Saw her again about 2000. It was my last year working for the city of Bellevue. It's when the East. I'm talking to you like I'm talking on the Scott Survivor page, trying to give you all these details that you're probably not interested in. Forgive the rambling. When the South Bellevue Community Center was open, that was the last time I saw her. I believe that was 2007. And we just bumped into each other, and it was cool then. Lost contact again. I don't know why it was so hard for us to reconnect. I don't think it was personal. So Rex, I don't know. Rex, Nikki, Aaron, they're all in my life now. Thank you. Thank you. But I don't really know on paper who is my oldest best friend is Aaron, because she's older than 51. Nikki's 51. Rex just turned 51. I'm 50. Who is my best friend first? Nikki. I met Rex in 6th grade, but he was far from my best friend in 6th grade. He didn't become my best friend until 9th grade. But in regards to, He gets the first song dedicated to him out of my three best friends I'm in contact with. It goes, "Your words stung me to the heart. I hadn't even noticed how far we had drifted apart. Can I still count you as a friend? Or have I done too much now to ever make amends? 'Cause I once needed just an open mind. Well, that's no reason why I now should leave you behind. A word from out of the blue reminds me how much I once needed you. Oh, but that's all in the past now. So much that I can scarcely remember how. I once needed just a hand to hold. 'Cause now the few times we meet, all I sense is a love grown cold. You can't hold on to everything, and I've forgotten what we talked about a long time since. Can't recall days with regret. Tomorrow remember the day and all the rest forget. 'Cause time's gone by, and all the things we did are now so much water under another bridge." Don't. This is sad. The song is sad. Let me see if we have to listen to a commercial first. To the heart. Hadn't even learned to stop when we had drifted apart. Can I still count you as a friend? Or have I done too much now to ever make amends? 'Cause I once needed just love. Okay. I'm going to stop the share and I'm going to stop the song. But that's the song that used to come on when I was living with my father in Bellevue, Washington, when I was in Interlake High School. And every time that song came on, in between, "Break Them Down" by Graham Parker. Damn. I would have a whole bunch of songs I liked back then. Come on, Shalonda. Okay. Well, K-Jet, Stroke Your Kitty Cat by Blackwood Laird. Can't find that anywhere. Money Dreams by Red Dress, more local music. Big Audio Dynamite. They played Perfect Skin a lot. I actually ended up liking that song, covered it when I was later in life. Anyway, so when I heard that song, I was like, oh God, it makes me want to cry. And you know, I've never listened to other people's lyrics. They would come in one ear and go out another, and sometimes I'd make up my own as they went in this ear and out the other. I probably plagiarized a lot of people, not verbatim, because like I said, I know what they're saying. But so I dedicated that to Rex. And Hoodoo Gurus, other things. This is 1985 KJet, 1600 KJet. Let me continue. So the third. So when we have these, the third I would keep. So I've said this year that I regret 2/3 of my life. And the proverbial, if you ask somebody, and I don't want you to find somebody and send me their audio or their book, because I don't have anybody in particular, but I know in the past, if you had asked somebody, do you have any regrets about anything from your past? Or you regret any parts of your life? The proverbial answer is no. I don't regret anything about my life because everything that happened to me has made me the person today. Everything that I went through made me stronger. God doesn't give us anything to handle that we can't handle, meaning that it was purposeful. It was meant to be, right? God. And no, I don't have any regrets. That's what you hear a lot of people saying. And this year, in my year of repentance, heavy repentance, and I might be in repentance mode the rest of my life, whether that's 2 more weeks or 20 more years. In my heavy repentance mode, I say I do regret. I regret about 2/3 of it. And that 2/3 came out arbitrarily, but there's a ring to it, isn't it? Like 2/3 of us are going to burn in hell. So maybe that's the number. And so I thought I guess in the past 24 hours. So I really regret 2/3 of my life? Because you've been saying it a lot. Do you mean it? Or are you being flippant? Is that a word? I'll look that up now. Remember, look up flippant. What else did I say today that I don't know, might not be used right? Okay. And I went through it, and this is what I've come up with. Candy and Cousins, Mom and Sitcoms, K-Jet and Adolescence, Music and Church. Candy and Cousins would describe my 0 through 8 years of life. And I'm going to call the sexual assault at 8 years old a pivotal moment. I didn't know it was pivotal at the time, but it was obviously pivotal. So I'm going to stop my early childhood at 8 years old. And the Candy and Cousins represents the joy I had, the love I felt, my ability to play and to be lively and to feel special in the eyes of many other people, to love my cousins or like my cousins, and to feel a part of a family. And one of the things that I remember in Milwaukee, around 8 years old, is enjoying Now and Later's potato chips and soda pop with my first cousin Trina. God bless her, wherever she is. And I'm not calling her Miss Piggy, but I know it's probably me. One or both of us really enjoyed Now and Later's potato chips and soda pop on the porch. If we could get that by the end of the day, we had a great day. So I remember that. And that's birth to 8 years old. I'll take that back. Mom and the sitcoms, that represents when my mom was raising me as a single parent. They had some prior to Medea's death, there was some intermittent time with her and my dad being a couple. I didn't know I was lucky enough to be in a nuclear family, as it's called. We had a house on Beacon Hill, I remember that. Then we had a house on Empire Way, and that was the last time my parents were a couple. That's when me and my mom went back to Milwaukee to be with Medea when she was dying of cancer. And I would do the same for my mother, see, the cycle. And so Mom and the sitcoms has to do with me and my mother. And I don't even know if my mom would have been in the house. I don't know if my mom was watching these shows with me. But I remember me and my mother as a twosome, and my television watching. I was part of the latchkey generation. So maybe I should say latchkey generation, but that sounds burdensome. And I guess that could be in parentheses, latchkey generation. Do I want to throw that back into it? Probably wouldn't say make me a latchkey kid again as the 1/3. That's good. But there was some television that I watched when I was a kid. It was way over my head at the time, but I enjoyed it and it entertained me. And my mom was in my life, and it was us, and she loved me, and she was young, and I enjoyed being entertained. Some of my favorite shows, let's say the shows that I would watch today and enjoy, and I have been, include Alice. Didn't realize how much I liked that show. Soap. And Benson, can't find Benson for free. The Monsters, Beverly Hillbillies, that was already in syndications, Gilligan Island. More mature shows, One Day at a Time. 8 is Enough, that's not a comedy, you get what I'm saying? So whatever years those shows came out, besides the ones that were obviously already off the air in syndication, like Green Acres too. I was probably a little girl when Green Acres came out, so that would be preface to the mom and sitcom cycle. Mom and sitcom cycle definitely after 8 years old. What about it what I want to put back in there? What was good about it? Me and my mother's closeness, being an only child, and comedy. Why not? The next cycle, because you don't hear me talking about my dad very often, guess what? He made the 3rd. The next cycle would be K-Jet and Adolescence. And I'm going to say this is going to be 10th, 11th, in 12th grade. It could theoretically be pushed back to 7th or 8th grade. But I'm going to say 10th, 11th, and 8th grade, which were the 3 years I attended Interlake High School. Lived with my dad for all of those 3 years, or most of those 3 years. Wasn't very close with my dad. Never haven't been close to my dad since I was a little girl. Okay, and he would, and it was just physical proximity. And no, he didn't rape me or do anything unforgivable to me. So just close in proximity when I was a little girl and actually lived in his house. We weren't close. We spent a lot of time together. I'm not going to put going to Long Acres with my dad as one of the thirds. Somebody who liked their dad more would definitely put going to Long Acres. That's a racetrack on the list, but indifferent. Hanging out with him and his mistress, Ruth. No, I'm not putting that on there. Being in my room, listening to a transistor radio, whatever that is. I don't know if it's a transistor radio or a boombox. 1600 AM, falling in love with alternative rock, new wave, the second British invasion, loving high school. Now I know some of you, you're obese. I was overweight. You had wore holes in your shoes. I didn't have a problem having new clothes thanks to my father and my mother. She would have, she took care of me. It was her turn. And whatever issues that you may have had in high school, I felt popular in high school, and I loved getting up every day to go to high school. And I would have talked to you. I was the black girl, the overweight black girl with braces. Oh, I didn't get them off till 12th grade. That damn Dennis, silly rabbit. He didn't put the bands on me until the very last minute. I could have gotten my braces off maybe 2 years ahead of time. Talk about him later, maybe. I liked getting up every day to go to high school. I would have talked to you. So don't feel bad if you didn't like high school in the 80s or the 2000s. I would have talked to you. I liked high school and I loved KJET. And it was everything about adolescence is what I experienced, all the good parts of adolescence. I could micro manage and tell you, well, this didn't work out right, and this didn't work out right, and this could have been better. But in a nutshell, had a good time in high school. Music and church. This is actually a cycle that never came to fruition. I have played music in a couple of churches. I only can remember 2 on a couple of occasions on each time, no more than 2 times in either church, maybe 1 time in each church. And I have gone to churches, and I've never sustained any congregation. The one that I was likely to sustain, after my mother died and I was taking care of Alexandria, the pastor decided he didn't want to be a pastor. So me in church never stuck. Me playing music in church never stuck, but I could very much see myself having the opportunity, taking somebody up on the opportunity or having it sat in my lap and not passing. Music in church would have definitely been a cycle. And I'm going to go ahead and say that would have been a cycle that I was involved with in my 20s. That would have actually didn't happen until after I was probably when I was 30. I'm going to say let's push that up to 20-something. Now, I thought about this. And after my mother was diagnosed with cancer, I was 30 years old. I don't think there's anything that happened to me, which unfortunately includes anybody I've met, any relationships, any significant events, that I would say, let's do it again. It can all be replaced. 32 right now. And I'm thinking about it as I'm talking to you, and it's like, are you sure? Because that's when your relationship with Yahusha, and I used to call him Jesus, really, y'all got really, really, really tight between 30 and today. You sure you want to throw that out as your 2/3? And I would say, yeah, because I know what I was doing. Now, what he was doing for me, that's another subject matter. He's perfect. He doesn't have to regret what he was doing between 30 and 50 years old, but I regret what I was doing between 30 and 50 years old. So there's the 1/3 that I would keep and the 2/3 that I wouldn't. What happened after my mother died that I regret? Homosexuality, drug abuse, Um, Lots of burnt bridges, losses, loss. Trauma. Let's talk about, um, I've worked most of my life. Is there a job that I would do again? Because it's a good question. You have to be honest. You have to be honest about what's in the hard drive. I was there. I liked working for the Parks and Recreation. Social services? Mm-mm. Being a school teacher? Mm-mm. No. My favorite job was the Parks and Recreation. And I could be specific about what Parks and Recreation type of job I liked, because I did everything. Worked for 3 or 4 different Parks and Recs, at least 4. Well, San Francisco, Bellevue, Seattle, Redmond. I think that's it. And I did different things for each of them. And I can honestly tell you, I'll be very specific about what I would do if I worked at the Parks and Rec again, or they call it Rec and Parks down here. Very specific. Not all of it is something that I would do again. What about my athleticism? We can put the athleticism into the working with the Parks and Rec department, because I was a born again rec athlete, which we could do on the job, right? All right. So that would be my life if I could do it over again. So how do I spend the rest of my life putting that third back on the table? I'll think about it. But it obviously has music is in it. Sorry, man. I'm not surprised. Are you? So music is all over it. A congregation is all over it. Good to know. Recreational activity is all over it, and I better get busy. I'm 50-something years old. Okay, so that's it for now. And let's see. It's the Sabbath. I may be back a little bit later. Shabbat shalom.